Regardless of what generation you're in or how you engage with information, some things don't change. Acceptance, belonging, and the real key to that is this authentic story that everybody has, and everyone has a unique story.
G'day guys, Rob from A Life That Travels, and I'm at a conference today. I've just seen the most awesome presentation by Ashley Feld. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
And you've been talking this morning about demographics, which is like a big word for what?
Numbers, data, it's like where people live and all this information about age and how we can kind of categorise the behaviours of different groups of Australians or people and what we can find out about them.
And you've been talking specifically about kind of like generational stuff. So is this an interesting area for you?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's 6 generations we have in Australia today. Everybody fits into one. And even some of if you've got kids or parents and the characteristics that are associated with those different generations, it's fun to see if you agree with those, because effectively we're stereotyping a whole bunch of people based on their age and what's impacted them, but it does help organisations and brands to know how to communicate and engage based on the changes that have impacted those different generations.
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, I hear a lot of stuff about millennials. I'm sure you guys hear this all the time too. Yeah. And a lot of it's kind of like negative stigma kind of stuff.
It definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, but I love that slide you put up, which was about this kind of stigma that goes back a long time, doesn't it?
It does. We often say there's always been this intergenerational warfare. Way back when the Gen Zs of that time often got told they were lazy, and it's sometimes it's not without its cause.
Yeah.
But I do think that with Gen Z, particularly, and Gen Z is those aged 9 to 23 years of age, so because they will comprise a third of our workforce within the next decade, it is important that organisations understand what drives them and what motivates them.
Yeah.
Because we are going to have this multi-generational workforce shortly, and we're already seeing that now, where we do need to have this understanding and acceptance of the different generations' strengths and weaknesses that we can all bring to the table.
Nice. What's your story? How did you end up in this?
I studied I didn't know what I wanted to do when I finished school, but I loved reading, I loved writing, and I thought I enjoyed studying. So I went to university and I completed a 3-year degree.
Where at?
At University of Technology, Sydney. I did a Bachelor of Arts in Communication with Social Inquiry. So the other streams of that were like journalism, PR. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I enjoyed the degree. And then I found McCrindle through a friend of mine who was working there, and she came highly recommended. And I interviewed for them. I didn't really want the job before I did the interview. I was like, I want to go overseas and I want to travel. I didn't know if I could have both. But after interviewing it, I thought, wow, this is amazing organisation. It's my degree in a job, and I've been there 5 years, which is longer than the average tenure today.
Nice, yeah.
And I love it so much. I love my job. I've got to travel through my job, and that's come with different opportunities. So yeah, it's been a great road. I love what I do.
Yeah, you've got an awesome bio, and tell me about TEDx.
Yeah, so I did.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I did a TEDx talk last year, and it was on the power of storytelling in a digital era. So it was this idea of how do we communicate, how do organisations get cut through, and it was this idea of like visual storytelling, which we're really big at and in and about at McCrindle.
Yeah.
Because we deal with so much data and demographic data, which can stereotypically be really boring and dry. So we really invest heavily in using it and making it fun and engaging and visual, and that was my message, and it was really hard. I mean, I'm okay, I do a lot of presenting through my role, but you can't have any notes, and I only kind of found out about it quite a short lead-up time, but one of the greatest things I've ever done, a huge personal achievement for me, and I'm so glad that I put the time and effort into making it happen.
Totally. So what advice would you have, you're talking about storytelling, I'm fascinated by this. What advice would you have for young Australians, whether they're like into high school or at uni, about how they start to learn to tell their story? Like, why is that important?
I think it's really important, and I think that is, we often talk about younger generations, school-age kids who are having to, we kind of say to them, they're almost like their personal, or say about them, they're their own personal brand managers. Like from a very young age, it's a lot of pressure to maintain an Instagram account or a social media account where you're going through adolescence and you're trying to get people to accept you and belonging. But I think what I found in our social research is regardless of what generation you're in or how you engage with information, some of things don't change. Acceptance, belonging, and the real key to that is this authentic story that everybody has, and everyone has a unique story. And it's almost this, not a paradox, but we do a lot of stereotyping and collating data about groups of people or based on your age or experience, but actually we believe everyone has a unique story to tell, and that's really important as you grow and at the decisions that you make with regards to work and uni and study and travel. That all plays into who you are and the story that you give. And I think it only makes, and I've had this before a few times, even from the stage and more personal conversations where you have the ability to share your story and somebody goes, wow, I had a similar experience, and then all of a sudden this humanity that we all share kind of connects, and I think that's really important. It can help people grow. So I think developing your own story is really key, and to own that and be proud of who you are and why you are who you are.
How do you own it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think,
you've got a great story. How have you come to own your story?
I mean, what's fun for us, so even like when I'm doing presenting, this idea, and I think I'm challenging the stereotype of the data analytic person. I do a lot of media commentary, and they're like, oh, young woman.
It was all memes this morning. It was brilliant.
Memes. So I think that's part of it, just being proud and owning it, and maybe challenging stereotypes, being okay to do that and being proud of who you are. I think that's really the key of that, and if you can communicate that in ways that people engage with, then that's all the better.
Yeah, unreal. And so what's next? What do you want to do next?
That's a great question.
Life is long, right? And you were saying, like, people have so many careers these days.
I know.
5 careers and how many different? 17 jobs. 17
jobs across 5 careers is the stat, based on the tenure of staying in a role or a job for 3 years and 4 months is the average.
Yeah.
So this idea for our parents, and I've seen on LinkedIn, people have with an organisation for like 37 years, and that's just unimaginable for me and for this emerging generation of young people going, what? And it's almost this idea that we don't need or want to move jobs more frequently. It's almost like it's just part of who we are and what we've grown up in. That jobs and work is changing. So what's next for me? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to continue developing my public speaking stuff. I'd love to do another TED Talk one day, and I've really loved the travel that comes with my role. I had the privilege of doing a presentation in Qatar last year in the Middle East, and a few New Zealand ones, and I'm going to Malaysia at the end of the year. So we've really focused on Australian demographics, but actually moving beyond that, and some of those trends or presentation insights that can transcend the geographical bounds of Australia. So I'm looking forward to those international gigs, and I almost did a conference for National Geographic in Spain. That would have been amazing. So if I can get something like that, I reckon that would be a real challenge like TED was, and that can push me to the next kind of level. So.
Amazing. Tell me just real quick, because professional conferences, I think a lot of students, a lot of young people don't really look at those at all. Like, you kind of get pushed into going to uni, or maybe going traveling, maybe getting a job or something. But how, you've now presented at these conferences, how much value do you think there is for like a young person in uni to actually come to something like we're at a conference today and just engage with people who are out there in the workforce?
So important. I mean, there's obviously that cliche, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And conferences do provide those opportunities that you can network and even just experiences for learning and just to sit and listen. And I think at McCrindle, we're very conscious that organisations and individuals, we sit in our context, in our degree or in our passion, and that's where we sit. But I actually think coming out of that maybe circle or barrier that you're in, and conferences can open up your thoughts or ideas or challenge your perception, and even the external trends that are maybe impacting the future of your career. So I think conferences do provide that, and they're short. They're not like I need to go into a 6-week course. You can come to a conference, get so much out of it. So I think they're really valuable.
Last question, because you're obviously seeing lots of stats and lots of data and seeing lots of interesting things all the time. What's the number one thing that you've learned in the last 12 months, say? The biggest kind of like aha moment or tool or tactic or whatever it might be that you're just like, holy shit, I wish I'd known that 5 years ago?
Yeah, sure. I think based on the data that we present and even my own experience, I think what's been key is, and this I guess hopefully for this audience will be really helpful, is not knowing what you want to do when you're in school is actually okay.
Yeah.
And I think I was saying this in the presentation that you would have heard just before around this idea that it's okay and it's actually a real strength if we're mobile and we don't know what we want to do, we can change and adapt. That adaptability is actually a real key strength. We're seeing that in the research and in the future of work, what that's going to look like. So which our younger generations are very adaptable, very keen to learn, lifelong learning, I think that's probably the one thing that if you've got that, then you've got this ability to go far and to kind of be constantly adapting to the changes that we seem to be getting thrown at us constantly in the world we live in today. So
awesome, so good to meet you. Thanks so much for the chat.
Thanks.
Good luck for the rest of the session. She's back up on stage.
Yeah, like
so I'll
now.
like now. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good to chat.